Hey, happy Tuesday and welcome to very good Tuesday and a great time of the year. Glad you're with me today and welcome to my little world. Come on in. Come on in. Share a moment with me today and who knows? Who knows? Might be something worthwhile. I want you to think about something. One of my favorite scriptures, one of my favorite scriptures is from Hebrews chapter 12. Those first couple of verses there, especially the first part of the second verse goes into it as well. Verse 1 of chapter 12 says, "Now, therefore, we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily ensnare us. And let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down on the right hand of the throne of God." I don't know about you, but that's one of those that I enjoy, that I need every now and then to remind me to keep on keeping on. Get busy doing what you need to do, and just keep at it day by day. There's a line from the MASH television show where I think the priest was writing a letter to his sister, and in the end he says, just basically keep moving. Keep moving. Doesn't matter whether you're going from disaster to disaster, but keep moving. We need that encouragement sometimes because it gets pretty hard sometimes to keep moving, doesn't it? And those days that you're meeting obstacles along the way and it's just really tough. And sometimes you're giving it your very best, trying to get the race going and just running into one obstacle after another. And sometimes physically, emotionally, mentally, you just struggle with it. As Paul writes to the church, the Galatians, he writes about carrying one another's burdens, basically helping one another along the way. Yeah, in the same passage, he says, we've each got to carry our own pack. That's right, we're responsible for ourselves. But one of the good things is to help one another along the way. Help and pick one another up. One of Jesus' famous stories, or best stories, I guess, because it's best remembered by so many, is that story of the Good Samaritan. As Luke records it for us, we recognize Jesus telling this story of a man who doesn't have to stop and help. Others don't. But this man doesn't have to stop and help the guy that's been beaten and left for dead, but he does. Goes way out of his way to take care of another person's need. What about that? Is that reality? Is that where we are? Do you find the world so caught up in itself and so selfish in itself, so busy running its own race with absolute focus and endurance that the world doesn't stop? I'm talking about people around us. Don't stop to help somebody else along the way. I'd like to believe that there is a better character, a better person inside so many of us. I think it's there. I believe it's there. In 2016, in the Rio Olympics, Abby D'Agostino, I'll get it out there, D'Agostino, runner for the USA, and Nikki Hamblin from New Zealand fell while they were running the 5,000 meters. You may have seen the video of it. You may have watched it when it happened. But they fell in the midst of the race. The runners clump together, trip, fall, both of them go down. And Nikki Hamblin helps Abby to her feet, stays there with her. Now neither one of them are going to really be able to compete in this race. They're not going to place in the higher ranks in this race at all. But they each managed to get to their feet. Hamblin helping, getting them started, and finally each of them does complete the race, stumbling, hurt, getting up, getting back into it, and finishing the race. Run the race that is set before you. But notice the help that one gives to another. They were each given an award for it. I believe given a special place in the next heat of the race or something like that. You may remember it better than I do. But I've thought about that. to set aside goals that have been yours, to set aside something that is very important to you in order to help somebody else along the way, to carry one another's load. Sounds like some of the things Jesus was saying when he talked about going the extra mile and so forth. I believe that character is in us, don't you? I believe it's in that. If you can find it in these Olympic runners who have trained their lives to come to this point and then to surrender it in a moment to help somebody else along the way. There are many of those cases along the way. Maybe not of quite that high a level, but still very important. Boston College runner Madeline Adams was helped across the finish line. She collapsed in an ACC cross-country championship race. She collapsed, couldn't get back up onto her feet. Her legs gave out on her. But a runner from Clemson, Evie Tate, and Rachel Peace from Louisville pulled her up, put their arms around her, lifted her, and dragged her the last many yards of the race across the finish line. Each losing the place that they were in, runners going past them, but they picked her up and they dragged her across the finish line. Appreciate the character that's there. You may look at it and say, well, neither one of them was going to win the race. Is that what we're talking about? No, we're talking about the character that says it doesn't matter where I was going to finish. It doesn't matter where my race is. If I can stop and help somebody else along the way, if I can do that deed. You may be able to look into the record books and see who won the 5,000 meter in Rio in the 2016 Olympics. Or you may be able to check the records and find out who won that cross-country meet. But do you remember that person? Do you remember who came in first or second in those races? Do we really have video of those that people pull up and watch from time to time? No, what I'm telling you is the greater things are not found in the person who comes in first in a race like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I want you to understand. Yeah, compete. Give it all you've got. Win the race. But the greater good that we find in life may be that which is found when we surrender our goals, our moment's goals, to help somebody else and pull them to their feet, him or her, to his or her feet, and help that one along the way. You see, isn't that the idea that Jesus put out there of loving your neighbor as you love yourself? It's pretty special when we see it happen. There are others, many others we could list, because I believe that better spirit is there inside us. It's just the willingness of people like you and me to set aside our goals for a moment, to pick up another and help that other along the way. That is truly winning the race. Hey, I'm glad you're with me today on this marvelous Tuesday here in early October, special month of the year. I hope it's one that's very special for you as we see the seasons change and the beautiful days and those crisp, cool nights. What a wonderful time it is, and thank the Lord we have days like this. Anyway, so as you run your race today, maybe you find somebody else that needs a lift along the way. Keep on going, my friends. We'll share some more further down the road, and I hope it's a wonderful day, a blessing to you, and that you can be a blessing to others along the way as well. Thanks for being with me today.